But think about what happens if these justice officials make a different decision.
I was thinking, because I'm listening to these January 6 hearings, and Jonathan Haidt went on Glenn Lowry's podcast. And Glenn Lowry, I don't know if I said this on the last Sunday stream or the Tuesday stream, but Jonathan Haidt was making the argument that Democrats are very centrist, moderate party, and the Republicans are just insane. And in the context of these January 6 hearings, like, I don't know how you make that argument.
Right. That's a good point.
This doesn't seem like an insane party here. Like this meeting that they're summarizing, I mean, this meeting would have to go a completely different direction for Jonathan Haidt to make that argument credibly.
He's falling prey. So what the media is doing is it's hyping up the Republican politicians who are supporting Trump and supporting this.
Oh, you're right.
The media is hyping up the Republican politicians who, if they were in this meeting, would have said, yes, put Clark in. Yes, that's the move.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz is in that meeting. It's a completely different meeting.
Right. And there are a bunch of Republicans that are saying that they're on board with Trump with this. Now, I'm cynical about it. So I don't think if they were in the meeting, I think a lot of Trump's support on this, I think it's entirely cynical. I don't think they believe that the election was stolen. I don't believe they believe any of this stuff. They're just saying that to appeal to Trump voters.
Right.
So I'm not sure if even if they were in these meetings, they would have. But so Haidt is seeing all that, which is being kind of propped up by the media. And so that's sort of coloring his view. So yeah, he's not looking at it from the view of like these non-politicians who are like still Republican that are in this meeting.
Right. I think you have to look at that though.
You do. You have to look at all things. You have to look at everything.
I don't see the rank and file Democratic voter being the paragon of sanity that he's trying to claim that they are. They're out in the streets,
no.
accosting people over Roe versus Wade just because they're driving down the street. It's like,
right. And like, I mean, I'm not like, imagine like we could have this situation in the future with a Democrat, a very similar situation.
Yeah.
Say God forbid AOC wins the presidency or something, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, we could be like 20 years down the road. We could be in this situation with AOC where she loses the election. She's like, no, it was the white supremacists rigged the votes against me. And she's got all her people in the office. And she's like, I got to fire the attorney general because he, even though he is a black trans man, he can't see that, there's a racist out to get me. And then people in our office would either say, this is a terrible idea, AOC, or go along with it. And I don't know.
If everything is reversed for the 2020 election, I mean, Biden has already set up that Trump is a white supremacist dictator during the election. Like he would make those arguments in these meetings.
Well, it wouldn't be analogous because Biden didn't have any power in 2020.
Oh, okay.
We have to, that's why I'm saying it had to be like a future thing where like maybe you could say in well, I don't think Biden's going to run again, but like say Biden did run again in 2024 and loses to Trump. And, we have the reverse of the situation where Biden says, oh, it was fraudulent and blah, blah, blah. And he starts firing attorney generals that don't go on board with this. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
I don't think
he would because of this, but it's possible.
He's got to have the incumbency to be able to have this meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
The DOJ.
This is like, I mean, this is the most reminiscent thing. It's with Nixon where I'm trying to remember. I think Congress was going to subpoena the secret tapes he made or something. And I don't know, there's some issue. And basically he fired like 2 or 3 attorney generals until he got the same thing. He fired 2 or 3 attorney generals until he got to the one that would do his bidding, basically.
Really? Wow.
Well, it was called Bloody Saturday. That's why, whenever they talk about Bernie, they're like Bloody Tuesday,
Really? I had no idea
Yeah, it's called
Nixon did the same thing.
Is the Saturday Night Massacre is what it was called. Yeah.
Wow.
It was U.S. Attorney. Oh, it was U.S. Attorney General Elliot Richardson appointed Cox in 1973 after promising the House Judiciary Committee that he would appoint a special prosecutor to investigate the events surrounding the Watergate break-in. When Cox issued a subpoena to Nixon asking for copies of taped conversations from the Oval Office. Oh, okay. So they had a special investigator to look into Watergate. That special investigator subpoenaed the president, wanting the tapes that Nixon had recorded secretly. The president refused to comply, claiming executive privilege. The United States Court of Appeals rejected the claim of executive privilege. So Nixon told his attorney general to fire the special investigator.
And he wouldn't do it. Right.
He wouldn't do it. So he resigned. And then the second person wouldn't do it, and he resigned. And then so finally Nixon found the third person, Robert Bork, who would do it.
No way.
So if you remember, Bork later
did Bork
was nominated. Bork did do it, yeah.
So Bork, that's why Bork was nominated for Supreme Court. That was a quid pro quo right there.
Right. And that's what I was saying. If you remember, Bork years later was nominated to the Supreme Court. Though
right.
It failed partially or probably mostly because of his actions.
Because he did this, yeah.
Yeah, because he did this.
They thought he was tainted.
Right.
Yeah. Politics, it's a messy business. It's true.
That's crazy. Yeah, Bork did fire Cox. That is fucking crazy, isn't it? Like, that's such a crazy situation. So
yeah,
this is very similar to that.
This is why selectorate theory is just so, I mean, it seems so true to me.
Reagan nominated Bork. Oof. Come on, Reagan.
What happens if they bow to the pressure? What would that do to us as a democracy, as a nation? Imagine a future where the president could screen applicants to the Justice Department with one question. Are you loyal to me or to the Constitution? And it wouldn't take long to find people willing to pledge their loyalty to the man.
See, that's the difference right there. A reverence for the law. That's what you have to build.
We know many of President Trump's vocal supporters on January 6th also wanted the Justice Department to do whatever he asked, as long as it meant he could stay in power. They made sure Justice Department officials heard his message as they protested loudly in front of the department on their way to the Capitol on January 6th.
Do your job! Do your job! Do your job! Do your job! Do your job!
Live in D.C., we're marching to the Capitol. We are at the Department of Justice right now telling these cowards to do their job. They're going to take the Capitol.
I want to take a moment now to speak directly to my fellow Republicans. Imagine the country's top prosecutor with the power to open investigations, subpoena, charge crimes, and seek imprisonment. Imagine that official pursuing the agenda of the other party instead of that of the American people as a whole. And if you're a Democrat, imagine it the other way around. Today, President Trump's total disregard for the Constitution and his oath will be fully exposed. Now let's get this hearing underway so we can do our part to protect the freedoms that we often take for granted, so that we can see how close we came to losing it all. I now yield back to the chairman.
Never say fully exposed in a congressional hearing.
We're joined today by three distinguished witnesses who each served in the Trump administration in the months preceding January 6th. Mr. Jeffrey Rosen served at the Department of Justice from May 2019 until January 2021. With President Trump's nomination and the confirmation of the United States Senate, he became the United States Deputy Attorney General. In December 2020, he took the mantle of acting Attorney General. Mr. Richard Donahue has served in the Department of Justice for over 14 years.
So that's the guy that replaced Barr. When Barr resigned, he was he was the guy underneath him.
Yes.
Rosen becomes Attorney General,
Right.
but only for 2 weeks, whatever, 14 days before
Yeah.
transition of power bars out.
Mr. Donahue was a United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, then became Mr. Rosen's Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General, and finally, Acting Deputy Attorney General. Mr. Donahue also served more than 20 years in the United States military, including the 82nd Airborne and the Judge Advocates General Corps. We are also joined by Mr. Stephen.
So Donahue moves up and becomes his deputy assistant.
Yep.
The interesting thing is in the meeting, I guess he's in like shorts and fatigues because they like
He said-
drag.
Yeah, he said he was wearing it like a short sleeve army t-shirt and like blue
Right.
jeans or something.
He's like going out for a run or something.
Right.
Hey,
he's
can
just,
I
like,
pull you
randomly
into this
called
2.5 hour meeting? Can you
Yeah, he's like-
imagine?
It's so funny too, because like, I mean, it really shows you like how much these guys have like these like they put so much sacredness into these institutions of
Right.
power. Because
Yes.
to me, like I would not even have thought about like, would I feel uncomfortable wearing a t-shirt in the Oval Office? I would have been like, no, what the fuck do I care? But he's like, I felt so weird being in the Oval Office. Like,
Right.
I would never enter the Oval Office without being in a suit. And I was like, oh, okay.
He asked to leave so he could go put a suit on because he was going to
Yes.
meet with the president. Yeah.
Right. They're like, no, there's no time.
Yeah.
Come
Just
in here.
come on. We got this 2.5 hour meeting we got to grind out. Can you imagine? Like this meeting is completely unplanned. That's
Yes.
got to be insane. You're like, this wasn't on my schedule for today.
Well, the
Engel.
way that they talk about it, it seems somewhat on a whim to like just decide to make Clark the attorney general that day.
Yes.